7:08 is the time. This is a big day for Labour's emerging education policies. Keir Starmer's making a big speech on the subject, but one of the things he will not commit to is free school meals for all primary school pupils. That, according to some campaigners, is a mistake. They point to what they see as huge benefits that can be bought. They are being introduced in Wales, where Labour's in power, and in London, where the mayor is a fan, and it's already being done, actually, and has been for some time in some London boroughs. Let's talk to Councillor Jasmine, who's the Deputy Leader and Cabinet Member for Children and Education at Southwark Council in South London. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
How long have you had free school meals for primary school pupils?
Okay, well, we introduced free healthy school meals in Southwark over a decade ago, and we introduced this as a universal offer in primary schools and more recently in nursery schools. And it started because we were responding to austerity because so many of our families were falling into poverty. And educationally, we were joint bottom in the league tables in education. And now we are, 10 years on, we're 97% Ofsted good, rated good and outstanding. So we think that school improvement journey has been helped by our free healthy school meals.
Yeah, helped, because you've probably done other things in the schools as well. But are you saying for you and for the teachers, what you believe is that the educational outcomes have been hugely improved by the fact that children have all been able to eat?
Yeah, I think for us that's obvious. I mean, I'm not saying it's the only thing because obviously there are great teachers, great pupils, but I think this in itself has contributed to our school improvement success. I mean, pupils, before we implemented it, we did a pilot and we found that pupils made between 4 and 8 weeks more progress than expected. There was a 23% increase in the number of children eating veg at lunchtime and fruit, and an 18% reduction of children consuming crisps and soft drinks. And teachers themselves said that the behaviour in the class was better, pupils were more ready to learning, and the concentration was there, because if you've got hungry children, they're not going to have the concentration, are they? So, for us, it felt like a no-brainer.
But of course, there are two objections. Number one, the overall cost. Number two, I suppose people object and say that the money goes to pupils who don't actually need it. How do you deal with those objections?
Well, I mean, it's the stigma, really. I mean, it's interesting because I had free school meals when I was, at school many years ago. And I felt the stigma of that because it was means tested and we had tokens. And quite often I wouldn't bother because I felt so, embarrassed. Whereas a universal offer gets rid of the stigma. And what's interesting is, you can see that it really, really benefits everyone. Tessa Jowell, the late Tessa Jowell, who was one of my MPs, she was the founder of Sure Start, and that is probably one of the most famous universal services. And she always said, services which are made for the poor make for poor services. So, I think, it's quite important to have a universality. The other thing is...
Just the wider point about cost as well,
yes,
then.
Sorry.
Because that's going to be... I mean, the reason I asked you about that is one of the things that Labour have decided is they can't afford it nationally throughout England. I'm sure they'd like to do it. I'm sure they'd say... And we talked to Keir Starmer at 8:10. I'm sure he'd say they'd like to do it. But the cost, he says, is big.
I'm sure. I mean, him and Bridget have got some brilliant ideas. They're looking at breakfast clubs. So they're not shutting the door at that. I think it's wrong to polarise, the Labour Party leadership from this debate. I mean,
well, hang on a second. Fair enough, but they have got to make a decision, haven't they? Do they do this or not? And at the moment, it seems that they're going to go down the breakfast club route. I mean, can that make up, do you think, for not having the free lunches?
Look, it is interesting because, look at secondary schools. Because of the mayor... the mayor is going to feed every primary school child in Southwark. That has meant that I'm free now to pay for school meals in secondaries. I mean, we've already seen the reports on your programme where they talked about the real shame of children turning up at secondary schools with empty lunch boxes. So, one of the things that I've seen in secondary schools that if you are on universal credit and you earn just $7,000 as a family, you're exempt from the free school meal offer. So that has enabled me to pilot free healthy school meals in secondary schools. So I'll be making sure that all of those families on that universal credit threshold will be eligible to free school meals.
OK, well, we will put all of this to Keir Starmer at 8:10. Councillor Jasmine Ali from Southwark Council in South London, thank you. Let's turn to how ambitious it is. One of the things you need to be in order to achieve those things when you're at school is not hungry. I've been talking, and I'd like to play you a clip from her, if I may, Councillor Jasmine Ali, who's from Southwark Council, Labour Council in South London, who says that the free school meals programme for primary schools there, which they've had for a decade, is, as she puts it, a no-brainer.
This in itself has contributed to our school improvement success. Before we implemented it, we did a pilot and we found that pupils made between 4 and 8 weeks more progress than expected. Teachers themselves said that the behaviour in the class was better, pupils were more ready to learning, and the concentration was there, because if you've got hungry children, they're not going to have the concentration, are they?
That's the point, isn't it? Why will Labour, when it's happening in Wales under Labour there, it's happening in London under a Labour mayor, why will Labour nationally not commit to free school meals for all primary school kids?
Well, Justin, I listened carefully to you. I heard your earlier interview, in fact, and obviously, it's clear there's a healthy debate across society, and particularly in the Labour Party, about free school meals. And some councils, and as you rightly say, Wales and the mayor have already committed to it. We've set out our position, which is breakfast clubs for every child, which will make a material difference. And what I'm setting out today is, the structural, medium, long-term changes that we want to make. But
why are you not doing it? Is it simply
difference.
the money?
Oh, the money is a big factor, Justin. I won't shy away from this. If we're privileged enough to come into power and to serve, and I recognise we've got to earn every vote, I'm not getting ahead of myself, we will inherit, if we do, a broken economy after 13 years of failure, broken public services, and we have to have clear rules about what we can afford and what we can't afford. But I suppose the
argument will be that all of those things can be improved by free school meals, by giving children the kind of start that you're going to talk about in perhaps vaguer terms today. Here is a solid thing that your own people, Labour councillors, the Labour government in Wales, say, this works. It actually does improve life chances and improve the whole country, and eventually Labour is going to have to seize one or two of these things and find a way of paying for them.
Well, look, of course we want to move forward on all issues, but we do have to, have very, very strong rules about what we can afford to spend and what we can't. But just to go back, Justin, you say in vague terms, actually what we're setting out today is a target of 500,000 more children hitting their early learning goals by 2030. That's a massive detailed commitment.